Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with a Lucian updated complete guide, and at the same time as that, we're also gonna be discussing why GA isn't good on ADCs anymore. So first up, just gonna briefly cover Lucian. We talked about Lucian so many times. He's one of my favorite ADCs, and at this point in time, I believe Lucian is one of, if not the best ADC, because after Conquer got nerfed, a lot of ADCs got a lot weaker because not every ADC can take lethal tempo, and even those who can don't necessarily prefer lethal tempo to the old Conquer. So basically the power levels of a lot of ADCs dropped quite a bit, whereas Lucian is a very good Kraken Slayer abuser because of the Light Singer passive, which gives him a very strong early game, and even into the late game he doesn't do all that bad. So in my opinion, Lucian is really strong at the moment, which of course I love because I am a Lucian enjoyer. So of course, as with any updated complete guide, for the skills and living order, I will refer you guys to the first updated complete guide so as to not waste too much time. So now we're gonna instantly go into the discussion of GA. So now I am recording this in patch 3.3b. But this video will release in patch 3.3c, I believe, after the Guardian Angel got nerfed. So as you guys can see, at the current moment, Guardian Angel is 3100 gold. But in the next patch, it's going to be 3400 gold. So what can you get with 3400 gold? You can get pretty much any other item in the physical damage slot aside from the Sheen items. So it's like it's going to be more expensive than the Bloodthirster. It's going to be the same cost as an Infinity Edge, and it's going to be almost the same cost as something like a Triforce. It's just 133 gold below a Triforce, and it's just 50 gold below a Divine Sunderer. Now, of course, a revive is huge because it does prevent you from dying, but is it really worth 3400 gold? Like think about it. Think about, like, if you're a bruiser, you don't build Divine Sunderer and you build a GA instead for like the same cost. It doesn't even make sense because it's so expensive. It doesn't make sense to build GA anymore. Only on very specific champions, like, it does make sense. Like, for example, Samira, you still need the GA because you're always going to be going into the enemy team. So the GA is really going to help you with that revive. In that case, it's going to give you a lot of value. But on majority of champions, GA is not going to be useful anymore, especially because GA is a very team-reliant item. Now, what do I mean by that? Of course, if you're in a 1v1, the GA can help you win that 1v1. But in the late game, because GA is normally your last item, by the time you reach that point in the game, pretty much teams are always going to be grouping up. So if you're like if you have your GA up, highly likely is that you're going to be destroyed by not one member of the enemy team, but normally by like 3, 4, 5 members of the enemy team. And if you're put into your revive, it's up to your team to come in, back you up, and shove the enemy team off you, so that after you get your GA, after your GA proc completes and you come back with half life, you can actually run away, or you can even turn and fight with your team. So the point I'm getting at here is that GA is a very team reliant item, and therefore it's not always going to be very good anymore given the new cost. Now, I've always been a big advocate for how GA is very important, but given the new cost, even like me who like loves GA, I think it's not worth it anymore. So I really don't think you should be building GA on majority of ADCs anymore. Now, what I'm likely gonna do is I'm not gonna make an updated complete guide for every single ADC, because basically if that's the case, I have to play like every single ADC to make an updated complete guide on them, and I have to get to late game for it to actually matter. So I'm definitely not gonna do that. What I'm more likely gonna do is I'm gonna make an updated like ADC builds video where I cover the build of every single ADC, which I've done before, but I'm gonna of course make it an updated one after patch 3.3c. And that's where you'll get your information on who builds what, who still builds GA, who doesn't build GA. But majority of ADC shouldn't be building GA anymore. So anyways, we're going to get into Lucian's build, runes, and spells. Alright, now first up, I gotta change my boots. So generally on Lucian, what you like to go for is a Stormrazor first item. Now, the only reason you take Stormrazor is because it's completely OP and the build path is really good. So the reason, honestly, the best first item for Lucian should be something like an Essence Reaver. But the reason why Essence Reaver is not good at the moment is not only is it a little bit high cost, but it doesn't build out of BF Sword. So you have like a really weak early game, you don't have a strong early game spike because you don't have the BF sword spike. Going for IE as a first item is really a waste because you don't get the full value of IE if you go for it too early, and going for something like a BF sword into an Essence Reaver is way too slow because you're gonna be wasting too much time and you're not gonna have a full completed item by the first dragon, so that's really bad. So basically this makes it such that Stormrazor is the only really viable first item choice for Lucian to make sure you take advantage of his strong early game. So of course you go for Stormrazor, then you go for IE, of course more damage, more crit damage as well. Boots, I actually like to go for defensive boots on Lucian because Lucian is always going to be in close up in the action because of his short range. I think the Boots of Furor does help, but considering Lucian has such a low cooldown dash, I don't think the movement speed is as important on Lucian as other ADCs with no mobility, so I actually prefer going for Merc Treads or going for Steel Caps on Lucian. And of course for the enchant, generally you go for Stasis almost all the time. If not, you can also opt into Proto Belt if you don't need Stasis or if you prefer having more mobility instead. And then this time we're actually going to go for Solari Charge Blade as your next item. So what Solari Charge Blade gives you is of course crit, attack speed, ability haste. The part you really care about is the crit, ability haste, as well as the passive, which of course every time you cast an ability you get a charge of the Solari Charge Blade, and proccing that charge allows you to deal extra magic damage. Now what this does is two things. Firstly, because it scales with crit, okay, it doesn't scale with crit, but it can critically strike, so the more crit you have the better, so it really only makes sense to get as a third item and above. So this allows you to get more crits on the Solari Charge Blade, which is going to make more sense. And secondly, you can proc it really often because of how often you cast spells. And thirdly, you get a little bit of mixed damage, so your damage is not only purely physical, it's also magic, so it's going to help a little bit against tanks who are only stacking armor. And then of course you go for Serala's Grudge for the armor penetration and also for the slow. Now Lucian is one of those champions that I think that you have to go for Serala's Grudge, and it's really a waste to go for Moral Reminder because the slow is so useful and his ultimate helps you kill people so easily. So what I think you have to do is, if you need Grievous Wounds, you go for the Executioner's Calling early, and then you sell it when you get to your last item if you really need Grievous Wounds. But going for Moral Reminder doesn't make sense because you lose so much value. Now you could also go for Serala's Grudge before Solari Charge Blade if you're into a very tanky team. That is also very viable. And as your last item, you go for the Bloodthirster to of course get yourself that physical vamp, which is going to help you, and this gives you 100% crit as well. Now here is the catch, which is that the reason why you go for Stormrazor at the beginning is because Stormrazor helps to make your already strong early game even stronger, and it gives you that BF Sword Power Spike. That's the main reason you get the Stormrazor at the beginning. But when you reach full build like this, 100% crit, Stormrazor becomes the item that's holding you down because this gives you lifesteal, this gives you magic damage and more damage after every spell cast. This gives you more crit damage, but this really doesn't give you all that much anymore. So what do you do with this item? You actually want to sell it, and you can actually replace it with some other items. So let me tell you what you can replace it with. The first option is you sell and you replace it with Essence Reaver. Now Essence Reaver of course gives your spells more damage, you get more ability haste, still get 100% crit, you get more attack damage, you get the mana restore, and also of course it scales with 70% crit, and at this point you are at 100%, so this is going to do a lot of extra damage. So this could be one version of your final build. Now another item that I think might be good as well is going to be the Navori Quick Blades. Now Navori Quick Blades is going to get buffed in the next patch. It's going to cost 200 gold less, and I think it's going to give like, I forgot, is it like 5 more ability haste or like 5 more attack damage? So this is going to be really good. Now this basic, oh no, it's not 5 more, it's going to be 5 extra percent of the remaining cooldowns. It's going to refund 20% of the extra remaining cooldown. Now if you get Navori Quick Blades, basically your abilities are going to be up like 100% of the time, because even at like max, like full build, you're already going to have like your E on basically almost no cooldown. So with this you're going to have basically no cooldown at all, and if Navori Quick Blades becomes a good item, I think replacing it with Navori Quick Blades will make sense. But if you don't actually need the cooldown, I think Essence Reaver will make more sense. So that is the key difference in this build, is that you're going to sell Stormrazor and actually replace it. Now you won't see this in the gameplay later because I don't actually end up reaching Bloodthirster, but if you reach that late into the game, it's probably going to be almost 30 minutes into the game, or 25 minutes depending on how fed you are, but it's probably going to be really late into the game, so rarely will games reach that stage, but if you do reach that stage, that is what you want to do. Now, I'm going to quickly go over the runes and spells because they're really obvious. Runes, of course, Kraken Slayer, because you can proc it really easily with your double auto attack passive. The Hunter Vampirism, of course, for physical vamp. Nullifying Orb for the shield, both useful in the early and late game. And Hunter Genius, of course, because you are a spellcaster style ADC. And spells, of course, you go for the flash and you go for the exhaust, as usual, to, of course, exhaust assassins or divers who are coming onto you, or sometimes even to chase. Like, you can exhaust ult sometimes. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So with all that out of the way, we're going to quickly jump into the gameplay for Lucian. Alright, so moving on to the gameplay now. Of course, as usual, this is where I'm going to remind you guys to, of course, like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, if you guys have any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, particularly on this one where, you know, we do a bit of discussion about the GA and how it's basically not worth it anymore. So on a side note, I'm also gonna actually no, we're not gonna do this in this video, but I kind of wanted to cover why it's really bad to blind pick Samira, but I think that I would have covered that in the last video because I don't actually record my videos in order. So I actually record this Lucian video before the Vayne video, but I believe I'm gonna be releasing the Vayne video before the Lucian video. So I should have already explained that, so I won't have to cover that here. Alright, so here we're into a Samira and a Senna lane. Now that is a very squishy lane. So here we have Leona for the engage and we have Lucian for the damage. So here Leona goes in, gets off the stun. I'm able to proc the Kraken Slayer, and it's just that easy first blood. Like, literally no skill required. All it needs is Leona walking up, stunning, and I just go up, auto attack a couple of times and get the kill. So, cause Senna is super duper squishy. Now, something very interesting to note is I got red buff from Senna. So what this means is that Senna went to help Jarvan leash, but she must have accidentally last hit the red buff, which caused her to take the red buff, and she walked straight to lane, died to me, and now I have the red buff like 1 minute into the game, which is really funny when you think about it. Like, how often does this ever happen? I guess if jungler level 2 ganks and somehow dies, which almost never happens anyway. Both the level 2 gank and the level 2 gank failing never happens anyway. So here, Senna walks up for no reason, and as you guys know, all it takes is one Leona E to go in, I dash forward, double auto, Q double auto, and like she's basically just dead. So there we have it. Quick 2 kills for me at the very beginning of the game. We're already getting a hit, already getting fed, and we still have that red buff. So we are going to be really dominant in lane. Let's just look at this. We're going to get off the E auto, Q auto, proccing Kraken Slayer once, and also having the red buff there, and Samira is already below half HP. Now, unfortunately for me, the death timer is really low, so Senna's back in lane. If not, we could pressure more by denying the fruit, which is what I was trying to do, but turns out they end up getting the fruit anyways. So since I'm at half HP, I'm gonna go back, take my fruit as well, and then I can walk back. Now, red buff has expired, so I don't have the red buff advantage anymore, but still, the Leona goes in, same story. Again, I go in for the same combo, but this time Samira's W does actually block one of my autos, and I do hit level 5, so I ult. The Samira actually survives only because she had barrier. If she didn't have barrier there, she's actually dead. So really good on Samira for taking the barrier there. Allows her to actually survive. So don't actually pick up the kill on Samira. I think we got like 3 kills on Senna already. Every time Nami goes into engage, Senna just dies. So here I'm dashing in to get the double auto into the tower. I can get 1 plate and then Senna shows up. So I'm just going to recall because I don't have any mana anymore. So yeah, this is a really good demonstration of why Lucian is super strong in the early game. And this is of course after the nerf on his Q cooldown, which as you guys can see doesn't really matter all that much because you only really need to use 1 Q to actually get the kill. So you don't actually need a rotation of your Q spell. So the cooldown nerf actually doesn't even matter for all 3 of these kills. So anyways, Senna has basically just fed me 3 kills. Her team probably is really angry. She stole the red buff from Jarvan as well. So we're doing really good both in terms of the game itself and as well as probably the enemy mental. Anyways, here what we're going to do is, of course, we're going to be playing a little bit more aggressively. We can see Jarvan actually going to the scuttle. So here we have lane priority. So what we're doing here is we're actually trying to rotate to the scuttle to stop Jarvan from picking up the scuttle. Now, unfortunately for me, he has already smited the scuttle, and so here we're trying to collapse onto Jarvan, but he has his EQ up again, so he EQs over the wall. So basically it makes it such that we effectively did nothing there except walk down and walk back up. A little bit unfortunate, but we don't actually lose anything aside from one minion, which for the opportunity to actually kill Jarvan and get the skull, I think that is a good decision from us. Unfortunately, it did not pan out how we hoped it would, but hey, we only lose one minion for trying, and yeah. So here we instantly kill the minion wave. I dash in right before the minion goes into tower range, causing me to take aggro. Anyways, we pick up another tower plate, and Senna goes in with the root, gets caught. Leona gets caught a little bit, whiffs the ultimate, but doesn't really matter because I have more than enough damage to actually pick up the kill. Zed goes in, I exhaust him, so he does next to no damage on me, even with his ultimate. So we're all good in that aspect. Now, unfortunately, I'm running out of mana, so I'm going to pop the fruit. Leona is going to recall. And actually, Leona is not going to recall because the dragon is up. So here we are trying to see what we can do in this situation. So Jarvan is in the pit, he has to EQ out. I get off double auto onto the Jarvan. And it's going to be a little bit of a messy skirmish here. So here are my team in the pit, aggroing the dragon. The enemy team is kind of on the outskirts, trying to just go in, get a little bit of poke or get the dragon, you know, something of that nature. Renekton tries to go in. I'm trying to focus the Renekton. Samira goes in, so I'm going to focus Samira instead. Samira uses her Blade World to block my damage, and the dragon is really low, so I'm autoing the dragon, and I do manage to secure the dragon. However, my entire team basically dies aside from me. Now, the only good news here is that we got the dragon. The bad news is that my entire team died. Now, creating like four deaths for one kill and one dragon, I would say it's not worth. So overall, even though we got the dragon, I would say that in terms of snowballing, the enemy team definitely came out on top in this scenario, because the kills allow you to snowball way better than the dragon. Like in the late, if we reach like late game, the dragon is going to help us way more, but at this point in time, I think I would take the 4 kills over the dragon. So anyways, here, nothing much we can do about that. We didn't die, so we didn't give over our shutdown. We do have the Storm Razor and another BF sword, so we're really strong at the moment. We can easily like 1v1 or 2v2 anybody. Here Samira's Blade World is out. If Leona hit that, Samira would have died. But unfortunately, that was not the case. Leona tanks like 2 tower shots. Samira gets a little bit eager and ends up popping her fruit even though she's at full health. No more tower plates are left. The rest of my team is on the Herald, whereas me and Leona are trying to push in this top wave to force down top tower. Our team gets the Herald without pretty much any contest, and we see Zed coming up on the roam, but unfortunately for him, we actually roamed down through the river while he roamed up through his jungle, so he actually doesn't spot us, and he doesn't actually know where we went at all. So it's kind of really unlucky for him, but really lucky for us. So here we're going for the ward kill, and we do actually end up getting it. Leona does manage to go in onto Samira. I use my basic abilities to actually just pop her. Jarvan comes in, I exhaust him and let him eat out to the face, using the rest of the ult onto the Senna, dashing forward auto onto Senna, and the second activation of the Leona W does actually end up picking up the kill onto the Senna. And here in the meantime, I'm going to pick up the kill onto the tower as well as the next minion wave, considering we can see Renekton in the bot lane. At worst, it's a 1v1 against the Zed. Now, of course, Zed actually can kill me here, and I don't have my exhaust up anymore, but I still have my flash, so I'm relatively confident that I'll be able to get out alive. So anyways, we back. We're 5-0 and 2. We are able to pick up our IE, and we are also able to pick up the boots, which is of course in this case the plated steel caps, because the entire enemy team is basically AD, so that of course does make a whole lot of sense. So here we got top lane tower. We're gonna just wait here for Jarvan to come over. Leona goes in on Jarvan, and I'm trying to kill Jarvan. Unfortunately, that does not quite happen. I do end up damaging Senna a lot though, flashing forward to get the kill onto the Senna. And yeah, so somehow, even though we were trying to catch Jarvan, we end up killing Senna yet again, because Senna is just so squishy that she just dies instantly to Lucian's damage. So Senna is just gone yet again. And now this allows us to actually get off a siege onto the mid lane tier 1, which is of course a really important tower to secure, which really opens up the map. Senna has respawned, sends her out straight down mid lane. Doesn't actually really do anything at all, because we weren't actually engaged in a fight with the enemy team. I see the bottom side skull spawning, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rotate over and pick up that bottom side skull to secure my team division as well. So here, I was actually going to bat, but Gragas wants to try to steal the enemy blue. So here we are trying to steal enemy blue. Jarvan comes over, and pretty much there's no point at this time because Jarvan has smite, so there's no way we get it. Actually, we do end up getting it. Somehow Jarvan does not smite. Gragas actually gets it. And here I ult to pretty much just chase them away because my ult is going to do a very decent amount of damage. Here Zed comes in. I thought he was trying to ult me, but he turned out to actually not ult me at all. He tries to ult the Gragas. He dies. Renekton comes in. I get separated from my team. Samira goes in with the Infernal Trigger and does get the kill onto Leona. I get the kill onto Senna again somehow, and unfortunately for me, I barely managed to lose out the ensuing 1v1 with the Renekton. I think that there was a world where I was able to kite away and actually kill the Renekton, but unfortunately that is not really the case. Renekton himself is pretty... I wouldn't say he's fed, but he's doing pretty well. He's 3-1 and 2 with a Blade of the Rune King, so it's not like he's feeding or super behind or anything, but of course I am really ahead. So here Camille does go in onto the Samira, does actually find the kill onto Samira, but gets sniped out with the Senna ultimate, so does end up trading 1 for 1. Honestly, not the best trade in the world, considering Samira is like 1 and 4. She's not really a very valuable target, whereas Camille is, because she is our jungler and the Infernal Dragon is spawning. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge. So our strategy here is to do the classic bush camp. So here we have Leona, so we have a lot of CC. Orianna with her ult also has a lot of CC. So what we're expecting here is for the enemy team to realize that our jungler is dead and for them to come to the dragon and to rush it. But somehow they don't actually end up doing that. So the Camille has respawned. She's walking her way back toward the jungle, and still no one has actually shown up. So the bush camp doesn't actually work out at all. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to actually just start off the dragon ourselves, because Camille is of course in the area already. Now first up we're going to secure the Scuttle Crab. And of course we're expecting the enemy team to come. Someone transports the Senna route all the way in. Jarvan comes in with his ult. And I'm just trying to focus the Jarvan so that we can secure the dragon. Unfortunately, I'm not able to kill him fast enough, and I believe they secure the dragon. Now, this fight kind of plays out like the previous fight, where basically my entire team somehow dies to the entire enemy team. Same as what happened in the bot side river, and I'm gonna have to flash out. So this is pretty much a disaster, because with 4 members down and with me not having ult, it basically allows the enemy team to push all the way down mid, because without my ult I don't have the range to wave clear. If I step up to Q to wave clear, I'm pretty much dead, because it's a 5-man stack on the enemy team. So I can literally do nothing here except watch my inhibitor die, because my ult is not up. Here I can try to Q the wave. My team has respawned, but a little bit too little too late. Camille actually flashing all the way forward, and Leona actually manages to hit the ult. So we actually end up managing to turn on their team, and we are able to pick up 3 quick kills onto the enemy team, which is a huge turnaround. Now here I'm pinging for Baron, and as is Camille. We all have the same idea. Baron is spawning in like 10 seconds, and 3 members of the enemy team are dead. Now Jarvan himself is actually alive, so he is able to actually try to attempt a steal. But with all 5 members of my team alive, if he shows up, it's going to be a really easy turn onto him to kill, and we still get a free Baron anyways. So anyway, we're just gonna melt the Baron. Jarvan is nowhere in sight. He is actually in the top lane clearing wave. So here we're just gonna pick up a free Baron and we can just back. Senna ult comes through, but in case you guys didn't know, Senna ult doesn't do damage against monsters, so 0 chance of Senna stealing the dragon. They're not sure if she even knows that, or she was just using it to check. So here we pick up Slurry Charge Blade. We got our 3 crit item Power Spike, so we are even stronger now. And here we're actually going to pick up the blue buff, because Lucian does actually have to use a lot of mana. Although blue buff would be really good on someone like Orianna as well. Definitely Camille doesn't need blue buff though. So I'm just going to pick it up for myself. In this game, I'm 8-1-5. I'm the one carrying the game, so it makes the most sense to give the buffs to me. Camille is 2-4. Gragas is like 1-3. Orianna is 3-3, not too bad, but it's very clear that I'm carrying the game here. I'm at 12k gold, and all of the rest of my team members are all at 8 to 9k gold. So I'm trying to funnel resources into myself. So here with the Baron buff, we're all going to group at mid and try to just push down mid. I do have my ults up and available, so I am able to use that if needed, but we have to be really careful of a flank, especially from Jarvan or Renekton. So we do spot Jarvan out on the upper side, on the red buff side jungle, and Renekton is at the blue side jungle. So we're going to just cautiously proceed forward to slowly use the Baron minions to siege. Of course, our team not the best sieging comp. In fact, it's a horrible sieging comp, so we can't really siege too well. Just trying to use the Baron minions to slowly push out the wave. So here Leona does go in. I use the ult to finish off Senna again. Samira almost dies. Barriers again. I flash forward to try to kill her. With her flash and blade wall, she does actually manage to escape. So don't quite manage to finish off the kill onto the Samira, unfortunately. But we have gained enough pressure to try to attempt to do some damage to the mid lane inhibitor. Our final minion dies, so we aren't able to actually do that. Enemy red buff is up, so I want to take that. I'm waiting for Jarvan to show up here, and there he is. So I'm going to hop the wall and just chase the Jarvan away, basically. Show him who's boss, make sure he doesn't actually come to contest the red buff. So I'm just going to quickly just secure the red buff. Camille tries to KS the red buff from me, but fortunately I get it. Here we're just going to quickly finish off that minion wave. No more Baron buff, but we still have enough power to just simply do the just attack the tower. Now here I get a Q off through all like 3 people. I actually almost died to Samira's ult here. Orianna outs the air, I kill Samira, and here a very nice Gragas cast to separate Senna and Jarvan. Here I'm in trouble, so I'm going to blast cone over the wall. I get ignited, and here my entire team is back to kill the enemy team. So here I was trying to hop the wall to like go in, but I'm way too late because I had to wait for my E cooldown, and I'm still really low, but only Senna is left alive, so not too big of a problem there. So here I'm trying to push in the mid wave so we can actually pick up the mid lane inhibitor. Gonna pick up the fruit that just spawned here. The Orianna picks up the kill on Senna, giving us a clean ace, and this should guarantee like 2 inhibs. Now we can't end the game here, and my team is going to be able to pick up both inhibs. So I'm going to quickly take this opportunity to reset, get myself Slurry Charge Blade, and then try to rotate over to the dragon. So now here, we do get both inhibs, so a lot of pressure, but unfortunately, Camille dies to Zed, who has actually ulted her and gotten the kill. That's a really good pick for the enemy team, especially with the committing the Zed ultimate now, because now we are faced with the same problem again. The dragon is spawned, Camille is dead again, and we're back to the same bush, trying to camp the bush to see if any of the enemy team is coming. Now honestly, in this case, I believe that this was a mistake. I think we should have just started a dragon, because the enemy team is going to be busy clearing out their lanes, because we just got the inhibitor, so they're going to have to deal with the super minions. But instead, we're still camping the bush, so nothing too much happening. They thought they found a pick onto Gragas, so Renekton and Jarvan is going in on Gragas, but me and Leona are here to back him up. Leona goes in with the Solar Flare, gets the root onto the Jarvan. Jarvan tries to ult desperately, but we do finish off the kill onto the Jarvan. Orianna goes on a rampage, and Camille is back up and available, so this means that this should be a free dragon. Now somebody obviously on the enemy team tried to start the dragon, which is why the dragon is not in the pit. Dragon is resetting, so here we are able to actually just straight up go for the dragon free. Someone transports the Senna roots into our team yet again. Free dragon, there we go. Samira is way overextended, she has to flash away. I dash my face right into the wall, a bit unfortunate there. Leona goes in for the long flank, hits the Solar Flare, goes in with the root as well. I flash forward to follow up, and Orianna is able to KS, actually not Orianna, Camille is able to KS the kill, and yeah, so here I'm just going to turn around, pick up the red buff real quick. I melt the red buff relatively quickly, almost full build. So here I pick up that red buff, and yeah, so here we can pretty much try to go for Baron, and then with the Baron we can end the game. So here I tried to go for the blue buff, unfortunately not fast enough. So here I'm just going to quickly go for the Baron. And yeah, so at this point in time, we melt the Baron like instantly. So this should be a relatively easy win. All we gotta do, we pick up the Baron, we maybe reset, and we just need to all like run down mid and just end the game. And so here, pick up the Vam Scepter, building up towards our Bloodthirster. And yeah, so should be a relatively easy end to the game unless some shenanigans happens. So here our side blue buff is up, so I'm just going to quickly pick up our blue buff. As you can see, huge crit damage from me. Like, I'm critting for about 1,000 damage, combined physical and magic damage. So here I'm of course just pinging to attack Nexus. I'm pretty much asking my team to group up in the mid lane. Just everybody push together. The enemy team can't actually stop us from just forcing the end of the game. Gragas goes to split push bot. Don't really think that's necessary, but hey, he's attracting the attention of the Zed. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a 4v4, so that's fine. Now, because Camille and Gragas are not with us, we're actually 3 against like what could be 4 or 5 people. So we have to be really, we have to play safe. We can't randomly just engage in. We're just pretty much just letting Gragas push. We're using the Baron minions to just push in the wave. Baron minions will pick up the inhibitor tower. And we also have the wave in mid, and the wave in top is coming in as well. So there should be a scenario where the enemy team cannot defend against the Baron minions, and the minions themselves should be able to end the game for us. We shouldn't even need to do anything here actually. We just need to like, stand around and let the minions end the game for us, which is exactly what happens. So there we have it. There is the end of the game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the discussion on GA as well as the updated Lucian complete guide. So thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll leave you guys with the stats as usual. And goodbye.